Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to All Things React. Let me get my mic down real quick. I'm about to react to a video from Step by Step. I'll leave the link in the description to check out the original video, but I've watched a few of their videos. They're pretty good. Let's get into this.
We just got into real estate investing, and I'm not gonna lie, it's been one of the most overrated experiences ever.
Rental properties don't cash flow. I don't care what anybody else has to say.
2023, I quit the long-term rental business forever, and I would never going back.
The real estate gurus are finally admitting that owning a bunch of real estate properties is not passive and not really worth it. That is what we're going to talk about.
Having rental properties is especially when you are not a large investment company, having rental investment properties like rental properties, it's kind of hit and miss. First of all, you have fees, you have maintenance fees, you have it depending on where the home is, you have HOA fees. Especially if the house is older, you have it's things that happen that go wrong. You have property taxes that you still have to pay. And if you still have a mortgage, a lot of people have rental homes, but they still have mortgages on them. A lot of them are getting these rental properties with a bunch of mortgages, and really they aren't making very much money off of them after like maybe repairs or taxes or things like that. If this is not like a home that you moved out of because you got married or something like that, and you're keeping it around and renting it out to get paid off, and maybe one day become a cash cow for you, but like if you still have a mortgage on it, more than likely you're not making too much money off of it.
Today, welcome back to Step by Step. I have not made a podcast or really commentary style video episode in a while, but I'm back for a few episodes that I wanted to talk about because I found this really interesting. Since the 90s, Rich Dad Poor Dad made owning rental properties the dream of how you build wealth in America. But as time has gone on, it's become less and less worth it. And though people for years have kind of made it work on social media, sold courses on it, what we found...
Especially depends on where you are. I live in Houston. Properties are going up and up and up. It's expensive to buy a house right now. And the newer homes that they're building are not worth the money that they're charging for them. They are not built up to par as the way that older homes were built.
Now is that even the successful people, the people who found the best deals, even they're getting out, or even they're at least saying that it's not really worth it and they wouldn't do it again today.
Coming into investing, do you think they should buy real estate or?
There's a lot of reasons why this is, and the thing that got me the most interested in talking about this was Graham Stephan selling his rental properties in Los Angeles. So Graham Stephan, a lot of people know, he's a personal finance YouTuber who got his start in a lot of ways talking about how he did real estate investing, and he made it seem really approachable. Like he bought these rental properties in LA, they cash.
I was watching him a long time, closer to when he first started making YouTube videos. And yeah, he did a lot of millennial money videos. He did a lot of real estate videos. He talked a lot about his investment properties.
And it seemed like something that you could do too. He was able to get great deals on these properties because he was a real estate agent in LA, so he would see the best deals. He could represent himself in it, so he could probably get a little bit of a slightly lower price, not having to pay the buyer's agent commission, right?
If you really want to talk about having investment properties and making a little bit of money over time, you'd be better off going to like a mid to small towns, small city, where it's big enough where they need housing, but it's not so big where the prices are outrageous. You can build condos, buy trailer homes, mobile homes. Like I know a guy that has about 30 mobile homes. Mobile homes are very low maintenance. You can charge a decent amount of rent for them. They go down in value, unfortunately. But if you don't plan on selling them anytime soon, then it doesn't matter if they go down in value. I think that would be the way to go, because it's hard to compete when you're in a city like Houston with these massive investment companies. They're literally buying up all the homes and just turning around and renting them out. Or they're literally building entire neighborhoods and turning around and renting them out instead of selling them.
At least like the seller wouldn't have to pay the buyer's agent commission. So he accumulated a bunch of rental properties, some that he lived in, some that he just bought and immediately rented out, and they cash flowed. Like, they did well. You know, most of us have kind of followed that journey of his, and I think he always kind of said like he would hold on to them forever. So when I saw that he was even selling them, I was like, whoa, what's going on? So today it's quite obvious that buying a brand new property to rent out really isn't worth it the way it used to be. Just with the way prices and interest rates are, you're not going to find somebody who's going to cover the mortgage. You're going to be losing money every month. Now, what I find really interesting, though, is the fact that the people who did it completely right, who got a good purchase price, they bought 10 plus years ago.
I talked to my I have a coworker that she moved out of her home that she still had a mortgage on, and she moved in with her her boyfriend, and they're doing well. I mean, I haven't asked her if she's making money on it. I know it's at least paying the mortgage or some of the mortgage. And I think at the time that was her goal, because she was trying to sell it and she was having trouble selling it. But she actually managed to get a couple of good renters in there. And I think those people are still, it's been a year. I think those people are still renting it out. And I believe it's at least covering her mortgage. I don't know if she's making any money off of it, but at least it's paying for itself, you know? And that's what you want to happen. You don't want a rental to cost you money every month. You would like it to pay for itself, at least, even if it's not putting money in your pocket.
They locked in a low interest rate that we will likely never see again. They're cash flowing even. Even those people are saying, it's not worth it, I'm getting out. If it's not worth it for them, and if people are finally being honest about that, probably not worth it to you either at today's interest rates and prices. Now, before we really get into this episode, I want to thank the sponsor, which is
I'm tired, y'all.
Pesky is a DIY pest control system that I am now using on my balcony because I have 2 dogs. I leave the balcony.
Let the lady make her money. Let the lady make her money.
Balcony door open so they can go out there, but I was starting to get spiders come in my apartment. No matter how much I would like clean off the area, sometimes, you know, they find their way and they really freak me out. Now with Pesky, you're able to keep away over 100 different types of pests, including spiders. It's really easy. It takes about 10 minutes to do the application. It has a little sprayer and a nozzle, and you just spray it yourself. It's pet friendly, which is important to me. It's also kid friendly. It comes with a pro grade pesticide that's fully registered. They actually use this in a lot of hospitals and schools across the country. And if you want to get 10% off, you can use my code. I'll have the QR code on the screen, or I'll have it linked down below. With that, you can get an extra 10% off your first order, and they have a 100% bug-free guarantee or your money back. So I just am loving the peace of mind of not having little bugs get in my apartment, because they just, you know, otherwise we're finding a way somehow. All right, now let's get back into it. Why real estate investing is not worth it. So the first thing that I think we need to address is the myth of cash flow. So this is something that a lot of real estate investors back in the day would tout and would really use to sell the dream, was that you can make cash flow with a rental property. Not only are they paying down your mortgage, but you're making a few $100s on top of it. That's amazing, right?
But in reality, the truth couldn't be further from the
Well, wrong, because guess what? All of it goes to maintenance. Back then, you know, I think some of the newer real estate...
What'd I say? What'd I say? And this is my first time watching this video. But what'd I say? Maintenance. You have maintenance, you have fees. Depending on where you are, you have HOA fees, things like that. It's not as lucrative as you think. Especially if you have a mortgage on it. If you don't have a mortgage, maybe you put a little bit of money in your pocket. But you have to keep budgeting for property taxes, things like that.
Investors just didn't realize it yet because it takes some time for the maintenance expenses to hit yet. Like, I didn't notice it with my rental property in the first year, but then you really start to go, oh, $7,000 repair for whatever, like there goes all the cash flow. Now all the real estate gurus are saying, yeah, real estate investing, long-term rentals, they're not a cash flow play. Cash flow is a myth. It really doesn't exist because all of that cash flow, it just goes to repairs.
It's always, it's much better. I think she's in California as well, but it's much better. Like I said, if you can, in the South especially, Southerners may have it a little bit better. If you can do rentals in a small town, maybe mobile homes, maybe you can build a small house, maybe invest in like a couple of condos, duplexes, I mean, but low maintenance costs. Mobile homes are very easy to repair. You have a pipe burst, it's so much easier to repair than if you have to repair a internal pipe on an actual brick and mortar home that has a concrete foundation. Imagine having to bring some guys in and to break up the concrete foundation in the middle of a mudroom of a house because a pipe bursted. I mean, they've developed some ways to work around that, but in some cases you still have to do that. A mobile home, no. In the most cases, you just go, you get somebody to come out, they go into the house, cut the pipe, replace the pipe, you're back up and running. A couple of $100, $200-300 maybe, as opposed to $600,000-700,000 for a brick and mortar home. It's just smarter, better decision.
Things. And that's the reality of it.
So cash flow and rentals is a myth.
Today it is. The average home in Vegas is like $500,000. And what does it rent for? $3,000?
Yeah.
You know, what your mortgage?
See what types of houses they're talking about? They're talking about renting out expensive homes. Why would you buy a $300,000 house just to rent it out? You're looking at even with a decent interest rate, you're looking at $2,500, $3,000 a month. Nobody's renting it out for that much. Nobody's renting it out for $3,000. A 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, decent looking home. They're not renting it out for. They're not going to rent for $3,000. It's not going to cover your mortgage. It's not.
Like 35.
It's like $3,500. That's not even repairs, property management.
Yeah.
You will literally lose.
But if you can find a $40,000 mobile home, or $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 even mobile home, and you can rent it out for, let's say it's a 3.5 bath, three bedroom, 2.5 bath, or 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath mobile home for $60,000-70,000, not new. A new one may run you around 100. But the mortgage is maybe $700-800 in the South, $600-700. You can rent a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath mobile home out for $1,200. $1,500 even. In Houston, they're going a mobile home is literally renting for $1,200.
$1,000 a month on a normal home, and even if you got it at a great deal, you got it at $450,
Yeah.
$420. Your mortgage is still it's $2,500, and it
Yeah.
rents for $2,500, but you still have all those other expenses.
Yeah.
The other kind of harsh reality is like you have to cash flow just to break even. If you're someone who's like new to looking into real estate investing and you're like, hey, I think this might cover the mortgage. I could rent this out for about what the mortgage is, maybe make an extra $100. No, you're actually losing money if you're just breaking even because you will have repairs. At some point, you'll probably have a vacancy as well, but really the thing is the repairs. We've had to repair our water heater in Palm Springs, the whole HVAC unit. That's like $10,000-15,000. I forget exactly how much. There's little things like, oh, something was leaking. When people move out, generally it's going to need to be repainted, deep cleaned. Some of these things might be taken out of the security deposit, but general wear and tear, you can't take that out of a security deposit. That is something that you're kind of factoring in.
All of mine are paid for, and some of them with repairs and vacancies.
Hey everyone, my name is Tora Couture, and I'm the host of Tell Me What Happened, a podcast that shares true stories.
Don't hardly make money.
So my sister and I own a townhouse in Seattle that we long-term rent out. We didn't really intend to become landlords. She just wanted to live in it. I went in on it with her. She ended up moving, and now we've rented it out because we don't know exactly what to do with it. We didn't necessarily want to sell it. Because we didn't intend on becoming landlords, we weren't really looking at the whole cash flow side of things. In the first year that we rented it out, it didn't cash flow at all. 6 years into owning it, well, really, I think this is the 7th year of owning that house. Now it does cash flow a little bit. Just the market rate is about like $250 more than what the mortgage is that we pay. But all of that goes to repairs. All of it. Always.
I was going to
every
say.
year. Like, there's always something.
I was going to say, yeah, $250 is all his cash flow in a month. That's going into a savings account or whatever for repairs. There's no way that they're putting that. That's not profit. That's money for potential repair issues.
And if it doesn't yet this year, like if there's a little bit in that account, it will soon. Like there will be something big that breaks. Eventually the roof will need to be redone, things like that. So it all just goes to repairs, and people have kind of like, stopped pretending like that's not a factor. I feel like this was something that people just didn't mention because they were maybe selling a course on real estate investing, or they were like making money off of people thinking that this was a good idea and romanticizing it kind of. But now people are being a little more real about it, which I appreciate. I think it's always good to know all the factors when you're looking into an investment. And all of these homes on up that much. The cost to repair your house,
Give me a second, guys.
are getting kind of squeezed. I know no one feels bad for them, but that's also a factor. Number 2 is that it's not passive. People always call it passive income. It is annoying to own a rental property.
It's not passive.
It's not a 9 to 5. It's not like a 40-hour-a-week job, but it is not purely passive the way that owning a stock is, okay? Like, you're still going to have times that you have to deal with it, and it's always at the most annoying, inopportune times. I think the people who really are getting out of their rental properties the most are the ones that live far away from them. So Graham,
Even owning the stock is like, you have to definitely be, there's a lot of patience that's involved in owning a stock. It's just not like getting a stock and like you're just watching the cash flow in. That's not how that works. First of all, you have to invest such a large amount of money that you're able to pull in dividends or see profit and be able to take that profit. You have to know what you're doing. It's not just like you buy a stock and you're breaking into cash.
Stephanie, he doesn't live in LA anymore, so it is more difficult to manage those properties. I saw another YouTuber, his name is Bia Heza. He's selling a rental property he has in Texas.
These last 5 years of ownership were actually not a great experience. There's a few things that happened here that I didn't know were a thing. I live in California, but the property I've been dealing with is almost 2,000 miles away in Plano, Texas.
It's just another thing to think about. He was talking about how there was a storm coming to Dallas area, and now he had to think about that and stress about that, and it was like a whole annoying thing because he doesn't even live there. Again, it's really not terribly time consuming, but it's not nothing. It's not fully passive. Again, it's really not that bad. It's just the fact that it's been sold to people as this passive thing when it's really not that passive. And there is a true passive option that is so much easier and gets you the same return or better. You're going to have to coordinate with vendors to get stuff fixed. If you have a vacancy, that is when it's going to be the most time consuming to deal with. Just, communicating with the tenants. If you have another full-time job, this is something that's going to be taking time away from you. It's going to be urgent when it comes up. Like when you have something in a rental property that is an issue, most of the time you kind of got to drop everything and deal with it. And so it can be quite distracting to whatever you're trying to do in your life. Sure, you can hire a property manager to deal with these things, but even when you have a property manager, you're still going to have to make some decisions. Like you're going to have to decide if you're spending the money on whatever, which brand. The property manager can coordinate it, make it a little easier. But at the end of the day, you're going to still have to communicate with the property manager. It still might ruin your afternoon sometimes, seeing you have to do a big repair. And it's just something something that like you simply don't have to deal with other types of investments like stocks, for example. The second side of it being annoying is that it actually complicates your finances. And this is something I don't hear many people talking about, is when it comes time to do taxes, pretty annoying. And it is also probably another expense or time that you're gonna have to spend on it. If you have a rental property, a lot of people put that in an LLC. That LLC now needs to file with the state and you have to pay a fee each year. In California, it's $800. In other states, it's not too bad. And then if you have a lot of expenses with your rental property,
it's not as bad in Louisiana. $800 was crazy.
you know, if you're doing things properly, you're gonna have taxes done for that LLC, which you're gonna have to A, pay someone to do, or B, spend time doing yourself, which again is annoying. And so these people who have like 10 to 20 rental properties, that sucks when it comes time to do your taxes, because how annoying. I mean, if you have a good tax person, I'm sure they're on it and they're passive for you, like potentially, but at the end of the day, I find there's always something I need to log in and send, and receipts, and keep records of things. And just in general, it's not a simple way of living. It does complicate things and can cause just more stress and be more annoying than, again, I'm always comparing this to the stock market. Like, you don't have to open an LLC to invest in stocks. Like, you can just do it, and it really doesn't affect your taxes until you sell, except for dividends, right? But like that, you just get a little document at the end of the year. It's really not that difficult to deal with. Not like having a whole LLC, essentially a whole other business. So it's annoying on the side of communicating with your tenants and repairs, but also the complicating of your finances in general. The older I get, the more I value things just being simple, and like I don't want to have a million different accounts for things. And if you have rental properties, that kind of comes with the territory. Something to keep in mind too, I can see how after a while, if you're not finding the returns to be worth it, you go, why don't I just simplify? Why don't I just stop with all this? The third big factor is just that the returns are not that good. Like most of the time with a rental property, you're getting some appreciation, right? You may get some cash flow that's wiped out.
Depending on when you buy the house and how long you've had it, I mean, you can see a sharp increase in property value. If you bought it you had it about 10 years ago, 5-10 years ago, and you bought it for $250, it could be easily be worth $400 now, $450 now. So you can easily sell that house for a property, and especially if you own it. You know, it'd be you make more money if you were to just sell it for that quick $250 profit. Sell it for $450, especially if you've done renovations and upgrades. Yeah, no, that's might be a better way to go instead of long-term rental.
The repairs, but the appreciation at the end of the day, in like 20-30 years, a lot of the time it's not really outpacing the stock market unless something really crazy happened, you know, unless there was like in the 80s home prices doubled at one point. My parents had a house that pretty much doubled in value, or during COVID, but that's really not typical. For the most part, home prices are going up like 2 to 4% a year depending on the market, sometimes more, sometimes less. It's a lot of hassle for like about the same return. I would think if you are dealing with this hassle and this risk also, which we'll talk about, you would be expecting better returns in the stock market, like a lot better of returns, 20% or more. That is not what most people are getting that own rental properties, like long-term rentals. It's just like not worth it. And you may think, well, one day the property is going to be paid off and then you're still getting the rent for it. Almost every time, if you compare, if you had just put that down payment in the stock market, you would still make more. You would make more off of the larger lump sum you have in the market than you would like that yearly 8 to 10% you're getting from that larger lump sum than what you're getting in rent from that rental property.
This house behind
probably
me was purchased for $300,000 in 1988 and is now for sale again for $1.75 million in 2024. So it's pretty crazy.
You see what I mean? You'd be better off buying it just to hold on to it for a few years, to sell it down for 5 years later for a quick $150-200 bucks. Now from that was a crazy price increase to 1.75 mil. is
Crazy that
nuts.
That home has appreciated over 400%. But what's even crazier is how much that same amount of money would have made in the stock market.
That same amount in an index fund tracking the overall market
385
now
grand.
is $14 million. So this I think is interesting because that $14 million, if it was just invested getting a 10% return, let's say, that's $1.4 million per year. But that house could not even make $100,000 a year rented out. So yes, you have a paid off house at the end of it, but it wouldn't rent for as much.
At GNC, you'll find all the newest creativity.
I hate when that
innovations
happens.
and the
I hate when the ad's about to come on and the whole video glitches.
latest breakthrough is new GNC Amp Creabolic. It's a first of its kind creatine that's changing the
Too, and just in general, it just doesn't seem that the return is worth the hassle. Like, just the fact that it's about the same in the best case scenario most of the time is like, okay, that is not worth it. I'll even see these multifamily buildings that are for sale and they'll be like, oh yeah, you get about like a 5% yearly return. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get 10% in the stock market, so why would I do that? Why would I take on the risk, deal with the hassle for less than what you'd probably get in the stock market? It just seems dumb. The fourth thing is the risk. It is a lot of risk to buy a rental property. You're risking like in so many different ways, honestly. Like home values could go down. They sometimes do. You know, the big crash in 2008. Could it happen again? In certain markets, maybe.
Very much
I don't
could
really
happen.
think so.
Very much could happen again. Look at what happened in 2000 and was it 2008? I think.
Probably not, but I guess you never know, like truly, because a lot of people didn't predict that either, and it happened. In certain markets, like Houston, for example, places where there's a lot of land and they're very friendly to building, home prices just aren't appreciating that much. Even the appreciation staying flat, that's really not great. Like in the example of the YouTuber Bia Heza, I believe he said, you know, he's appreciated enough because it was during that COVID time, but then after that, it was kind of flat, and he was worried about home building happening nearby. Absolutely, that's gonna affect appreciation. Somewhere like LA, less of a risk because it's just harder to build here. There's not really land to do so, but in those places that have a lot of land, like Austin, Dallas, I don't know, Oklahoma, like yeah, the appreciation may not even be that great. That's a risk too. Could go down, or you could risk it being flat. You really can't bank on it always appreciating. Then there's the fact that you could get sued. I mean, freak accidents happen or someone trips and they could sue you. And you can have insurance for these things, but still, what a headache to deal with. And what a thing to like have to think about when you're going to sleep at night. Definitely not something that you're thinking about with money in the stock market. It's not gonna
I'm gonna skip a little bit through the video. It is a long video.
You at least have never heard of that happening. But is very much a real one is that real estate also has a high cost to transact. I'm a real estate agent in LA, by the way, you guys. So I know this well. I see the numbers of this. Like I have a listing and like you see the numbers that people are paying. It's not cheap to transact in real estate. With stocks, it's essentially free. Like you just trade it on the little app. When you go to sell a house though, a lot of times people are paying 5 to 6% of the sale.
I'm gonna cut it off here. It is a pretty long video. I didn't realize it was 25 minutes long. But I think we all get the gist of it. Things are not what they used to be. Especially if you have this idea that this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna invest in real estate. It's just not. It's as someone who has a rental property, I'm telling you, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Or you do, or you may consider doing what she says, the stock market. I have money in the stock market too. Or you may consider what I said. Do if you can, buy cheap and have a decent amount of rent. Maybe you can cash flow money every month. But it's not what it used to be. So don't let people convince you that they're just out here. They have all these rental properties and we're doing so well. No, you're not. They're not doing well. Don't believe them. I'm telling you. But this is a good video. Like, comments, subscribe, share. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna try and link the original video in the description below. Thanks for stopping by. See you guys later.